Hi there. So I had a question about sort of asking a little more information about my own past. I feel like I've had to, well, it wasn't Ask Me Anything, so that's why I've been answering a lot about myself. So I came from a small area in Virginia called Greenwood, which isn't even a town. There was an intersection of two roads, uh, Route 90 and Route 91, if I recall the numbers. Uh, I think one is called Greenwood Road, and the other is called Greenwood Way. And where they intersect, there was a country store that's been closed now for 20 years, and then the post office is there as well, and that intersection constituted Greenwood, and we lived about a mile from the intersection, up on the side of a mountain and then down into a hollow, as they say. In a sort of flat area that my dad would attempt to farm now and then, but he primarily worked in a factory that was in Waynesboro, the city on the other side of the mountains. This is getting very country. Where it was a DuPont factory where he made carpet fibers. And I never understood what it meant to work on an assembly line making carpet fibers, but I know that that's what he did. And he's retired from that now. My mother had started her career in working as a bank teller in the 70s, and as banks began to go to start using computers, they saw it as, frankly, as women's work, and they sent the women tellers to get trained in how to use these computers, and it turned out to be really valuable skills. As we moved into the 80s and computers began to be used for everything. And so she was able to take those skills and turn them into programming skills and work in computer programming in the area, mostly doing computer programming for payroll. So working for different companies because over time, frankly, as they would upgrade, they would usually lay her off, and they would insist on replacing her with somebody with a college degree and a higher level of skills. But she would work for a series of companies doing the programming that was needed to make payroll happen. And she still does that for a small phone company that is a long drive away, but they are a phone company that still does their payroll on this outdated system. My mother's somebody who works very much in what we call DOS prompts, which is just where you're on a blank screen and a little blinking cursor, and then she can start to do programming from there. I'm more used to like our usual computer, what I call our usual computer, like Macintosh interface, and where I work within programs. So that's where I came from. It was a working class background on my dad's side. Everyone had my grandfather had worked for the same factory, and also had been a farmer. In the area, there's a Kidd family cemetery that dates back a couple hundred years. The Kidd, I've actually done the ancestry work to find the original Kidd who arrived from England as an indentured servant in the 1640s. My mother's side, I don't know as much of the ancestry. I've looked at it. It's been harder to trace, but the family has all worked in the lumber industry. And even my grandmother worked in a lumber yard when she was in her teens, and that's where she met my grandfather. So that's a very different world from where I am now. And I think that television was a big part of me making a big jump. I would watch television in the 80s and think I believed that what I was seeing on television was an existence that I was supposed to have, even though I wasn't having it. And so shows like Family Ties and The Cosby Show and others seemed like, one, I perceived that was middle class and that was something I wanted to chase after. And they had very different types of homes and types of interactions with their families, and they all assumed that they were going to college, and so I began to assume that I was going to college. And on some level, that sort of paid off. Getting in my head, I was able to kind of make it happen. The biggest issue was paying for it, and I just embraced the loan system and took out loans to pay for it. And I just paid those off this past year. So, and that, which is sooner than I was expecting to pay them off, at 45. And the person who asked this question about, where I came from also sort of asked about that jump from like the home that I came from, which was like, it wasn't like a log cabin, but it was an all wood house. We did not have air conditioning. We had no central heating system. We had a wood stove in the basement, and we had to build a fire in the basement every night, and then the heat would go up through the chimney stack, and that's what heated the house. To now a very comfortable apartment, and I would say that this apartment best reflects my sense of the good life. It's a one-bedroom condo, but it's filled with art and furniture and my cat, and street noise. I don't know if you can hear that. And I have a roof deck with plants and more furniture and things like that. But it's my kind of oasis, and it's where I can watch TV and read books and enjoy art and grow plants and bake food or cook food, and enjoy the things that matter the most to me. And I have a nice big table. I don't know if I can show it to you. I should have cleaned the place before I did that. I think it's really clean. There's a random towel over the couch over there. But this table is where I entertain guests, and when I have them, which has not been much this past year, and feed friends and so forth. So that's a little insight into where I come from and where I am right now. And that's it. Thanks, folks. If I don't get to say it some other time, have a great summer. Take care.